What's up, people? We're about to bottle up some Citra. And yes, this does look a little unusual. I just bottled up another batch of beer, ended up sanitizing and putting fizz drops in 3 extra bottles. So I just set the caps on top of them. I'm going to go ahead and use them. They should be okay. This time I'm only going to sanitize 10 bottles. But we're drinking a nice citrus wheat, not one of my own, but I do have a wheat beer sitting in the fermenter as we speak. Good stuff. So let me get the rest of the bottles in. We already got all of them but these 3. And there's a couple other ones that are in here. Like I said, we're only going to sanitize 10. I don't think we're going to need any more than 10. So we got our bottles in here soaking, we got our filling tube in here, we got our caps, and then we got our capper, and we got our fizz drops here. We got our fermenter elevated so we can get a good flow into our bottles. So we're going to let these bottles sit for 5 minutes. We'll pull them out, air dry them for a few minutes, and then we'll get started. Alright, our bottles have soaked for more than 5 minutes now in iodine water solution. So we're going to go ahead and get those out. Like I said, we're using these bottles. We sanitized these a few minutes ago when we were doing another batch. And didn't want to waste them. We had the extra caps that were already sanitized and already had the fizz drops in them. So we decided just to lay the caps on top of them to keep any contaminants out. And we'll just use them. You're never going to get 12 out of these 1 gallon batches unless you put more than 1.5 gallons of water, and it's not a good idea to do that. I'm estimating about 10 based on where the level of the fermenter is right now. So once we get these out and the caps and the filling tube, we're going to let everything sit for a few minutes just to air dry. And then we'll start bottling everything up. Excited to try out this Citra. It'll be the first time I've brewed this one. Gonna use green caps this time for the Citra. So what's everybody brewing right now? If you're brewing something, got it in the fermenter, post it in the comments. Let us know what you're brewing. Got any suggestions for recipes? Let us know, and we'll be happy to brew those. Now here, we're gonna get our hose out, and all we gotta do here is just drain it out and depress the plunger. Just let everything flow out of it. Perfect. All right, we'll go ahead and attach it now. Coil it around the top of the fermenter. All right. All right, so we're gonna let all this sit for a few minutes and we'll be back and we'll start filling our bottles up. All right, everything is air dried for a few minutes. I think we're ready to go. But before we start, let's have a little bit of citrus wheat. Some good stuff. All right, now we already have fizz drops in the first 3, so I'm gonna go ahead and fill them up, set them off to the side, and let's get our airlock out. Make things a lot easier. We'll go ahead and fill up these first 3, set them off to the side, and then fill the rest of them up, knowing that we got to get this beer turned out relatively clear. I tried to let it, when I transferred it here, try to let it sit for a little while. I usually do that. I'll try to transfer them maybe an hour or 2 before I'm going to actually do the bottling to give them a chance to settle back down, because you don't want all the particles floating around in them. But moving right along. I think we'll be okay with using those 3 bottles, because like I said, I sanitized them, put the fizz drops in them, and realized I wasn't going to use them, and I put the caps on them, just let them sit by the side and didn't mess with them too much. So I think they'll be okay. So we got some stuff coming through our tube. That ain't good. Do have a little bit of debris floating around, but not too much. But I did see a piece go through a tube. I mean, you're going to have some homemade beer is not going to be perfect. If you transferred this to a secondary fermenter, and it may help you some, or had some way of filtering it out, but it's homemade beer, so you can't expect it to be crystal clear. Never gonna be. But it'll be close. I never ever drink my beer that's bottled like this out of the bottle unless it's absolutely necessary. I usually will. Alright, that's our first 3 that had fizz drops, so I'll usually pour it into a glass, a frosted glass. I like my glass to be cold. And when you do that, after bottling this, after it's sitting for a few weeks, it's going to have some sediment at the bottom. So when you pour it in your glass, just pour it real gently, tilt your glass over, and leave that last, little bit, 1/4 inch or so in the bottom, 1/4 or 1/2 inch. It doesn't amount to much. And if you don't want to waste it, you can chug it down. It's got lots of yeast in it. So I have done that before. It doesn't taste bad. Sometimes I have a little bit of a yeasty taste, but if you don't want to waste anything, you could always do that. But I always pour it into another glass. And they usually look really nice and clear. Now, so far, so good. I'm not getting any more particles like I got in that first couple of beers. So moving along. We'll definitely get 10 out of this. It's gonna be close though, because I've already filled 5 and the level was right around there, and that's about halfway. So it's gonna be close. I think we'll get 10, but that's all we're gonna get, and that's why I only sanitize 10 instead of 12 like I did on the last one, and ended up getting 9 and having 3 bottles left over with fizz drops in them. And it's a mess trying to clean out a bottle with a fizz drop that's partially dissolved in the bottom. So rather than do that, just use them, and they will be fine, trust me. So I'm gonna try to make sure that we're getting out at least a video a week, you guys. I got a lot of recipes to do still yet. Without buying a single recipe, I got enough recipes to keep me busy for a good while. And we'll be brewing some new stuff from our new sponsor, morebeer.com. We're going to be doing their recipes moving forward. And if you have a chance to check them out, the link's going to be in the description. That's morebeer.com. Great supplier. Got lots of recipes, hundreds of recipes, and lots of equipment. Really great prices. So definitely check them out. And we're down to the last 3. I'm going to move these a little closer just to make it a little easier. That way I can, without laying the fermenter back down, I can go ahead and fill with the last 3. I don't want to move this fermenter around a whole lot. Right now everything's coming out super clear. And I want to keep it that way. Gosh, it's gonna be cutting it close. I'm gonna be using most of what's left there. I don't know about preferences. What do you guys preference most? Do you siphonless with a spout like this, or would you rather have a siphon tube? Put it in the comments what your preference is. I've done both, and I don't know. This is more convenient, it seems, but the siphon tube works just as well. I think sometimes the siphon tube will get you a lot cleaner beer because you're not moving the fermenter around like you're having to, like with what I'm doing right now. You don't have to tilt the fermenter to get everything out of it. I try not to have a situation where I'm bottling up what's in the bottom of the fermenter, but sometimes it don't always work that way. I am trying to get 10 out of this, so I think this last one's going to be a little cruddy, but it's okay. It'll settle to the bottom. This brew is pretty clear, actually, and most of the sediment is stuck to the bottom of the fermenter, so I think we'll be okay. But man, we're going to be cutting it close. We're going to be sucking everything out of this. Good grief. Wow. Just think, I mean, I did 9 on the last one, and then this one probably should have been 9. I'm going to be so close. Fortunately, there we go. We're good. So, yeah, it started getting cloudy there at the end, so glad that one was over. All right, so we got to get our fizz drops in these last 7. So let's get those in before we forget. The worst thing we could ever do is cap these with no fizz drops, and then open it and realize, damn, something didn't go right. That would suck. Have a really flat beer at that. One thing I don't like about dropping them in after you fill them is sometimes you get a little bit of splash, and that's kind of annoying. That last fizz drop was kind of small. Put a little bit of another piece in there with it. They vary a little bit. All right, so everything's got fizz drops. So let's push them all over here to the side. And let's start capping. We're using green on this Kama Citra. I'm a little bit rusty with capping. Used to be like a capping master. I'm just inefficient and slow. We're going to let these sit in the bottle for 2 weeks, and we'll test these out for you. We'll take a video of us opening one up and pouring it in a frosted glass and letting you see what it looks like, and we'll try to describe it a little bit. I'm not the best at tasting beer and describing the flavors, but this one will be a little bit hoppy. It's got Citra hops in it. I don't think it's gonna. This is kind of like a mix between a pale ale, I believe, and an IPA. So it's kind of a little bit different beer than what I normally would drink. It's kind of a hybrid, I guess you could call it. So I don't expect it to be super hoppy. I mean, it's gonna have that Citra. And Citra's, you know, of course, like a citrusy. I think it's going to be a pleasant beer, not too overly hoppy, and very citrusy. That's my expectation. All right, so we're all bottled up. Got 10 of them. and excited to see how these turn out. We'll be back taste testing these for you and showing you what they look like. Well, here we are, the moment of truth. Frosted glass meets ice cold beer. Let's see what we got. Citra coming up. That sounded good. It smells good. Looking good pouring. Wow, that's crystal clear. That is really, really clear. Wow. Very surprised how clear this beer is. Not a whole lot of suds, but there's a lot of carbonation. I'll try to get this ice off this glass so you can see it. Hopefully you can see it. Try to get it for both cameras. That is a really impressive looking beer, actually. I love the color, that caramel color. It smells kind of a little bit fruity, but kind of floral a little bit. Very different kind of smell, but very it doesn't smell like an IPA, and it's a hybrid, so and it doesn't smell like an ale, so I don't know. Let's see how this thing tastes though. I'm getting a lot of different aromas off of it, but it's definitely got a hint of fruit and kind of a floral scent. Wow. I can definitely taste the aleness in it, but it's a little hoppy, so it's you know, interesting beer. It reminds me of one of the other Northern Brewer recipes I've done. I'm trying to think which one it is, and I can't remember. But it definitely kind of like, it reminds me of Dead Ringer a little bit. And it smells a little bit like Dead Ringer, but not totally. That's a good beer. That batch turned out good. Great carbonation, good taste. Not overly hoppy, but does have a bite. It's smooth. It's a smooth drinker. I don't know why I'm getting like a floral, you know, kind of flowery scent and taste, but I'm getting that out of it. Kind of strange, but maybe that particular hops produces that. I'm not a hops expert at all, but anyways, great beer. I'm happy how it turned out. Citra, it's a Northern Brewer recipe. Check out their website. They have the I actually have the recipe if you want to look at it closer. There's a link in the description. You can look at the recipe before you buy it. We also link to our sponsor, More Beer, similar recipes. We're going to be brewing some of those here in the near future. But this is definitely a winner. You know, it's different. Not what I expected, but in a good way. But I think you'd enjoy it if you like a light hops and kind of fruity, floral, smooth drinking, kind of medium bodied beer. That's exactly what this is, and it's really good. Hit that like button, subscribe. Don't forget, visit brewingdaddy.com. Check out our Twitter, Facebook. Always got stuff posting there. Also, we're on Instagram, and we also have a TikTok. So check us out there. All of them are Brewing Daddy. So we appreciate your time with us. Peace out, people. Have a good one.